Okay, I've got three big things to talk about in this video. Number one is government stimulus checks. Number two is what is secretly happening right now that the US government doesn't want you to know about. And number three is how you can make a lot of money in a short amount of time. And all three of these things are tied together, so please pay attention. First, let's talk about the stimulus. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting for the government to help Americans with a new round of stimulus called the Build Back Better plan. We've been covering extensively here on the show. Well, now it's looking more and more likely that we are never going to see this new stimulus plan. Why is that? Well, as we covered on this morning's show, progressive Democrats bent over and took it from moderate Democrats last week. They are a bunch of cowards. They were supposed to pass both stimulus packages at one time, the infrastructure bill to fix roads and bridges, and the other stimulus plan that would provide stimulus checks for you and your family. Well, last week, they passed that big bill that benefits Wall Street for new roads and new bridges, and Wall Street is super happy. But you are getting screwed once again. It's looking more and more likely that you won't see another dime of help from the federal government, as the cost of just about everything is skyrocketing. I mean, did you see Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, the CEO of Square? How many other companies does the guy run? Anyway, he's brilliant, but he sees hyperinflation coming to the United States. Hyperinflation. In fact, he says it's already here. That means 1,000 times higher for goods, services, and just about everything else you can think of. So your rent is going up, gas prices are going up, groceries are going up, but your income is not going up, and help from the government is not coming. So I have a solution, and it's to outsmart this corrupt government. It's to build our own stimulus plan that will actually put way more money in our pocket than what the government can do. You see, if you've been following my channel over the past few months, and specifically over the past few weeks, you would have known that when I make a stock pick to invest in, they tend to skyrocket. Now, my picks over the last few weeks have gone up 10x, 10 times. Just think about that for a second. Taking $100 and turning it into $1,000 overnight. That's how we beat Congress. I'm going to show you another absolute gem pick in a moment. You're not going to want to miss it, and you're going to want to jump on this ASAP. But first, I need to give you some context. Because, as I said, there were three things. Number one, we can't rely on the government for any kind of stimulus. And number two, the government doesn't want you to know that they just lost something huge to China. That's right. Remember the horrifying sights and sounds from Afghanistan back in August? Never forget them. Those awful images that we saw on television, disturbing enough. But what the Afghan people went through and are continuing to go through is actual hell. It was gross mismanagement and incompetence on the American side of things. No matter which way you lean politically, it was a mess. But what happened, though, is likely much more of a catastrophe than you actually realize. Something more sinister happened below the surface in Afghanistan, and it's way more threatening to our national security than we've been led to believe. And it's a long-term trend that we better take care of immediately. That would be China's stranglehold on the world's rare earth supply. Now, even before the fall of Afghanistan, China commanded the rare earth mining industry. And stats showed that China provides more than 85% of the world's rare earth minerals, while housing roughly 2/3 of the world's total supply. Now, with the Taliban in power, there's talk of China aligning itself with the extremists in an attempt to exploit Afghans' nearly $3 trillion treasure trove of rare earth minerals. Afghanistan is sitting on an absolute gold mine. No pun intended. Hours after the Taliban took over Afghanistan, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesman said Beijing was, quote, ready for friendly cooperation with Afghanistan. This already severe national crisis has turned catastrophic. Our most hostile and powerful adversary essentially controls the entire market, with minerals essential for the tech and defense industries. Rare earth elements are essential for smartphones, digital cameras, computer hard disks, fluorescent and LED lights, flat screens, TVs, computer monitors, electronic displays, clean energy technology, EVs, batteries, defense technologies all rely on rare earths as well. Which brings me to number three, how we can actually make a ton of money investing in a company that is the only one beating China at its own game right now. And it's doing it right here in North America, specifically in Canada. Now I want you to write this down. The company name is Monumental Minerals Corporation, and their ticker symbol is MNRL. Again, it's right here on the screen, MNRL. Don't confuse them with any other company. What's amazing about this company that I've heavily researched is that Monumental Minerals may be the only ground floor play at this point when it comes to North American sourced rare earth minerals. They are a mineral exploration company focused on acquiring, exploring, and developing mineral resource properties. Now, Monumental has the option right now to acquire 100% of the Mexico-based GEMI Heavy Rare Earth Element HREE project. Might not mean much to you, but it's right there by the Texas-Mexico border, and it is a bounty. Why this is such a smart trade is because most other companies are mostly focused on light earth minerals, but Monumental Minerals is focused on heavy rare earth elements like one you probably never even heard of. It's dysprosium, even hard to say, or DY for short. And China has a stranglehold on this mineral. Dysprosium is used in control rods for nuclear reactors because of its relatively high neutron absorption cross-section. Again, why do we need this? Because they're inserted into the reactor core to reduce the reaction rate. So basically, it helps us have control over that entire process. Its compounds have also been used for making lasers. So with these types of properties so crucial for nuclear rods and reactors, can you imagine why DY is so important right now for weaponry, including nuclear weapons, defense communication systems, precision-guided missiles, and way more? Without it, we are kowtowing to China. And this is why dysprosium is on the U.S. Department of Defense's strategic metals stockpile list. 99% of this mineral comes from China. Do the math on this, guys. The U.S. is purchasing an estimated 20% of their stockpile without any North American production. You understand what I'm saying? They're literally trying to get all of this material from China. Do you understand how this is a national security threat? If China wants to, they can just shut down the entire supply chain and bring us to our knees. I'm investing big time in this company because strategically, they are the only publicly traded company that is producing these minerals. Bottom line, the only one. This is a classic supply and demand play, and there's massive demand and very little supply. And this company is right in the middle of that entire dynamic. If heavy rare earth prices continue to rise on continuous demand and lack of supply, you better watch out, because this could indeed be a company with blue sky potentials. Again, the company's stock ticker is MNRL. It's a Canadian company. Now, in order to trade this stock, you cannot do it online. You can't go to tdameritrade.com or you can't go to etrade.com online and trade this stock because it's a Canadian stock. If you are in the United States, you actually have to get on the phone, old school, like 1980s style, and actually call your broker. Yes, this is what separates the men from the boys right here. It's the lazy people that don't do this extra step that lose out in life. It's what separates the ladies from the girls, right? Get on the phone, call E-Trade, call Scottrade, wherever your broker is, and say, Mr. Broker, I would like exposure to this Canadian stock. Yes, put down, $10,000, whatever you're going to invest in this particular stock, but you have to get on the phone to do it if you're in the United States. Again, I called my broker. That's how this works. And that means that you're actually getting in early on this stock because they haven't even rolled out their American stock ticker yet, which is coming soon. So you're beating the herd to the actual prize. So again, you have to do it by picking up the phone, calling your broker. That's how you make this trade. And remember, you can't use one of those small brokerages like Robinhood or Webull. You have to use one of the big boys like E-Trade. That's the one that I use. I'll have a link to the stock and the company's website in the description below. There's other companies with slightly similar names, so you make sure you pick the right one.